Oh, what's going on, folks? JV Wins, Dogon SS. We are back for a new week on the Conscious Approach channel on YouTube. Thank you to everybody who is tuning in. Thank you to everybody who has subscribed to the channel. We certainly appreciate the support. Before we get started with this week's stream, go ahead and do your boys a big old solid and hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Let us know what you think about, the channel. Let us know what you think about the commentary in these videos. We do it for the love. Also, shouts out to new subscriber John Gone Cavs 4665. I hope I'm saying your name right. He fact checked me big time on our last video talking about Ocho Cinco. I said, Chad, I said Ocho Cinco was still on the I Am Athlete podcast, and he is not. And although I don't consider this a fact check because I said during the stream that I was not sure, he clarified. He clarified that Chad did not win a Super Bowl with the Patriots. So,
good.
Even though I never said for sure that I thought that I was unsure about that initially, be that as it may, appreciate you, sir, for the fact check. He told me that I don't know nothing. So I appreciated him fact checking me and letting and putting it in the comment of that particular video that he thought that I knew nothing. Because it certainly does not. It certainly doesn't bother me, and I don't know everything. So, but the point is, he subscribed to the channel. So,
very, very nice.
Yeah.
Welcome to the party, bro.
Yeah. Well, so big shouts out to John Goncast 4665. Hopefully you tune in tonight, and if you don't tune in tonight, you take a look at these videos at your leisure. We certainly appreciate it. Now, with that out of the way, we'll go ahead and get started with tonight's topics. First up, we are going to talk about Yo Gotti. Yo Gotti believes that hip hop right now is semi-boring, and he is releasing music in an effort to get people back hyped up, amped up, back into the hip hop spirit, back into the mood of getting crunk, getting outside, getting the party going, and all of that good stuff. He feels as though people are still inside. And as a result of people still being inside, he believes that hip hop currently is semi-boring. Another younger artist recently went even further. Polo G said that, hip hop right now, essentially he was saying that it was kind of trash and that he's thinking about just retiring from it because he thinks it's trash. He thinks that it's all formulaic, that it all sounds the same, that it's all repetitiveness and people copying off each other, so on and so forth. So Gotti isn't the only one who has recently lent voice to feeling as though the music has become a bit stagnated. Polo G also shares similar sentiments, but of course, tonight's segment is going to get into what Yo Gotti had to say about hip hop. So we'll go ahead and provide this article for context purposes. It says Yo Gotti says rap is semi-boring right now, blames pandemic. Yo Gotti went off in a recent interview with Power 106 about the current state of the rap game. Quote, the rap game right now is semi-boring, Gotti said. I just feel like since COVID, they put us inside and we never came out. The energy ain't been the same. I feel like we mentally been inside. Furthermore, Gotti said that he hoped his new mixtape, I Showed You So, will help rectify things. With this tape, I tried to make the outside music, Gotti explained. However, he's not the only one currently bashing the rap game. Like I said, Polo G recently took aim at the state of rap on Twitter. This rap shit got so lame and watered down. It ain't no fun in it no more, the Chicago rapper lamented. It appears that as hip-hop turns 50, many of the genre's influential figures feel that something is missing from the current product. So I'll go ahead and play this video from that Power 106 interview with Yo Gotti, and I will let him speak for himself.
So I just feel like the rap game right now is like semi-boring. A lot of sounds the same and stuff like that.
Exactly. I just feel like everybody, like, since COVID, I feel like they put us inside, and I feel like we never came out.
Right.
Even though we out, we not out. Like, the energy ain't been the same. Like, you feel me? Like, I ain't been to a party yet that I've been feeling like, ooh, it's like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I ain't even been driving down the street where I was at the red light, and I just felt like it was like that. You know what I'm saying?
Felt like that, right?
Yeah, so I felt like mentally we've been inside since COVID. So to me, with this music, with this tape, I tried to make like the outside music. Hopefully I'll be a part of what brings us all back out here.
Going. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, so there you go. So it's interesting because I think he's thinking about it from the context of having fun and partying. I think that's kind of how he's thinking about it in terms of calling it semi-boring. And he specifically said that the pandemic is the result. So what did you make of that?
All right, so I can see that. So I'll entertain his logic there. So pretty much, I mean, he is an entertainer, and he's a street dude, of course, and so there's a certain like atmosphere that comes with that kind of music. And I guess a good way of putting it is outside. It's kind of like a block party kind of vibe thing. One of the things that I love so much about Tallahassee, shout out to Tallahassee and shout out to Memphis, everybody that's watching from Memphis. But yeah, my fondest times in Tallahassee was you can feel the party at noon. You can, because like later on that night, you knew it was going to be a movie based upon the afternoon. Like you can feel the people out in the streets. They're playing certain kinds of music, and it wasn't just the black people. Now it was the country people. It was the people that go to bars, and you can just feel the energy in the city before the night even started. And I used to love that feeling. You get, of course, you get that same feeling in South Beach, Miami, and all that good jive. So yeah, it's a good vibe. That's the part that was intoxicating. I had to go out that night. It was times I was like, I'm not going out tonight. I'm just not. Maybe I was hungover from the night before, or I just did this too much. I'm getting too old for this. But as soon as I felt that vibe, I was like, nah, I'm going out. I'm gonna be out there. It's gonna be a movie, and I'm gonna be a part of it. So that energy, I feel what he's saying, especially when he said when you pull up at the light and you don't feel that feeling. So where did that go? He says it left during COVID. For a person that gets paid off of that vibe, for a person that's been living in that arena for a long time, I would take his word for it, especially since he's been doing shows, pre and post pandemic. I'm pretty sure he's picked up that there's something in the social atmosphere outside that is lacking. Social media has only gotten bigger since the pandemic, but he has noticed that there was, a hand-to-hand decline in social activity. So I would agree with that. I would say that it's definitely hurt the rap arena a lot when it comes to shows and stuff like that, because there's a certain chemistry that goes on with being, as you mentioned, turnt, crunk, and all that other good jive. So it's missing. I would agree. How about you, man? What do you feel about this? You think that Yo Gotti has a point here? Is the social atmosphere missing right now?
So I'm not gonna take this as an opportunity to criticize him, because he's only speaking from his experience and his perception. Mm-hmm. And I'm not going to question whether what he is perceiving is off. However, I would say that Drake is out here making $200 million on tour. So if all of it is hip hop and we're not fragmenting it, because sometimes we'll do that. We'll put it in different boxes. We'll try to be like, oh, it's this kind of hip hop, that kind of hip hop, and that kind of music. But if we're putting all of it into the same bucket and classifying it as hip hop, Drake is out here on that It's All a Blur tour, and it's projected that he could earn $200 million off this tour by himself. So if people aren't outside because hip hop is semi boring, then we need to analyze how it is that Drake is still able to sell out shows and be making $200 million on tour if it's all hip hop. Now, I understand Drake right now is the guy. Like, if we were to think about it in terms of the mountaintop of artists, Drake, from a popularity standpoint, from a get people out of the house standpoint, Drake is probably number one. But I don't know that the divide between Drake and everybody else is so big as to substantiate why Drake is doing what he's doing and everybody else is not. So that brings me back to what I kind of feel is going on is I think that when things start to deteriorate from a quality standpoint, it might take time, but over time, that deterioration is going to be reflected in the amount of patronization for that particular thing. We are seeing it right now with sports. People are starting to get tired of the NBA because of these guys sitting out games, demanding trades constantly, saying that they only want to get traded to one particular team, basically just reneging on the contract that they signed up for and making $30-40 million a year, but then they still want to dictate all of these terms. Now, individually, you might think that the athlete is entitled to those things, but in terms of the collective consciousness of the sport, it alienates people who are fans of it. And that alienation is going to show in terms of the support of the product. NBA ratings, except for the playoffs, declining. No one cares about the regular season. Everybody is just like, waiting until December pretty much to even start paying attention to the NBA. It didn't used to be that way. People cared about the NBA before Christmas. Now, it's just like, okay, well, let's just wait until January before we even start paying attention to what's going on in that league. There's an erosion that's taking place. And I would argue that erosion is due to a deterioration of quality of product. And I'm an NBA fan. Growing up, it was my favorite sport. But a lot of what's going on culturally with the sport has caused me to become eroded by it, to where even now I'm saying, give me NFL and college football first and give me NBA third. I think the similar thing is going on with music, but of course, music and sports isn't necessarily an apples to apples comparison. It's more apples to oranges. But because it's so much subjectivity, with sports, we can look at stats and numbers and analytics and historicals. With music, it's basically all opinion. But in my opinion, the music has eroded over time. I remember a few years ago, I started to notice that a lot of these rappers were putting out albums that sounded like mixtapes. They sounded like EPs. They were like 7-8 songs long. Each song was like 2 minutes long. Maybe you get one verse, maybe two. A lot of the songs didn't even have a chorus. And it was a shock to me to listen to it because growing up for so long, I was so used to hearing, for the most part, 3 verses, a hook, at least, 16 bars per verse, standard issue. Songs will give you about 3.5, 4 minutes long for a song. Sometimes they went longer, but that was the general range. And you got these solo projects that were comprehensive bodies of work. You had your ignorant songs on the album. You had your party songs. You had your songs aimed at the ladies. And of course, I'm a male. I didn't really listen to female rappers. So I'm speaking at it from a male rapper perspective. But that was pretty much what you got. And like maybe 6, 7, 8, no, longer than that. Maybe about 10 years ago, I started to notice a shift. And it went from comprehensive bodies of work to these short snippets of things that they would call albums. And I'm listening to it and it sounds more like a mixtape to me. And that's just one of the examples of how the music, in my opinion, has deteriorated, where now you don't have albums anymore. You basically have mixtapes and EPs masquerading as albums. I think over time, people who genuinely appreciate the music are going to notice and pick up on things like that. And maybe there's a part of the listenership of the music who's saying the music isn't what it used to be. And because it's not what it used to be overall, except for your outliers, people like your Drakes and Kendricks and J. Cole's and stuff like that. Even some of the newer artists, I'm not really a fan of people like Lil Baby like that. But at least when Lil Baby drops an album, I'll look on Spotify and it's like, oh, there's a good 15, 16, 17 songs on this guy's album. I get it. Now, I'm not going to listen to all of them because I'm not a fan of Lil Baby. But at least Lil Baby is putting stuff together that makes it seem like he's putting out comprehensive bodies of work. But overall, in my opinion, I'm seeing a lack of that compared to the way it used to be. And my theory is, for the most part, people are picking up on that. And maybe they're saying, because I'm not as passionate, because there is a deterioration in the quality of the music, I'm going to just pay attention to other forms of art and take my patronization elsewhere. Except when somebody like Drake or J. Cole or Kendrick or somebody like this goes on tour. That's kind of the way I'm looking at it. Of course, this is all anecdotal. I don't have any empirical data to back any of this up. I can remember when I started to notice these things, other people were telling me that I just need to get with it. They were calling me old. They were saying I'm old. And what you mean? You don't need 3 verses no more, bro. That's just how the music is. A lot of these people who were telling me this were people who were around my age group, people in my own peer group. So I said, okay, maybe I just don't get it. Maybe I'm missing something. But if what Gotti is saying is correct and he feels like the music is semi-boring, maybe I'm not so crazy. Maybe some of it is the music dictating the lack of people outside because people don't care as much because maybe it's just not as good as it used to be.
I agree with all of that. I think, and I also think where he's getting at is, because you remember it was like back in the day, it was like every summer there was a chosen song. It was an anthem. The chosen songs for the last few summers have been girl songs about popping their vaginas. So there aren't any like real anthems anymore where, everybody's playing it. And the song that everybody was playing had such a message behind it of turning up and having such a good time that what vibe they were on when they were playing that. Now, when a girl's playing Pound Town, I don't know what's going on. Or if there's a guy playing Pound Town, I don't know what's going on. And I don't want to be at an event where people are that level of turned up. I don't want to be there. Sorry. So I think for him, he just wants to bring that feel back of 2004 through 2009. It's like, bro, that's not happening. So everybody's version of outside right now is on TikTok. So you better get on TikTok and start getting outside in there. But trying to bring that feel back to people that don't even know that feel, I don't know.
Yeah.
You definitely gonna get us old heads, I guess, outside, and going to the clubs, the grown and sexy nights and all of that stuff. You're gonna get us for sure. But here's the thing, man, and I agree with your take when it comes to like the downward decline of quality in music. And of course, streaming did not help that cause either. But it was definitely already being a decline before streaming even got involved. And so what I recognize in the decline in quality, it was more of creators having more control over putting out their content versus major labels. Now, there's a gift and a curse with major labels. And the curse, of course, is that's most likely going to be not helpful music. The gift is that they wanted to create a solid piece of crap. So it was wrapped so nicely, so sonically, and a whole bunch of other things. The rollout, the campaign for you to buy it, the merch, everything was so on point that it was such an event. It was kind of like a release of a movie, and it was very formal. and everybody was like, oh, artists were in album mode, they getting swole, they got all this, so it's like, oh, okay, it was a whole campaign. That stuff doesn't happen anymore. There's not any major rollouts. The only thing that happened is, people go hit podcasts and blogs and start talking about their stuff, get in some type of publicity stunt, beef. That's what's going on now. There's no more like real, like creative rollouts, kind of like in wrestling. And so like in wrestling, there's an art form in the character that is the whatever character you're watching. So he has to have a good shtick, a good background story. Is he a heel or is he a hero? Which one are we doing? And so the whole thing is that there has to be then the promo, then the everything. So that's what I say about Drake. The reason why he's so entertaining to people is that he's out there constantly doing, Macho Man Randy Savage level promos anytime he picks up a tweet or anything, a controversial meme during one of his shows. He's going to get you to talk about him. He knows how to do that. So with that whole thing that's like a missing art when it comes to being a mysterious artist. On top of that, all of these people are online with their Instas and all this other stuff. One thing that was cool about artists was the mystery behind them. Who is this person? Who's this 50 Cent guy? He got shot 9 times. He's still alive? Yeah. Right. One of the shots hit him in the face. It's like, God damn, well, who is this guy? Then you see him. I'm pretty sure they made him hit the gym and all the other stuff so he can look like the picture of a guy that's super thug. He got shot. He used to sell drugs and all this other stuff. Whoa. So the mystique behind 50 Cent was better than his lyrics. And so that's why he hit so hard. And that's why people was loving that stuff so much. So the mystique and all of this stuff is gone when everybody can look on your Insta feeds, hear what your thoughts are on Twitter, see what you got going on in these podcasts and stuff like that, where you're divulging way too much information. Your mystique is gone. So Gotti, he plays that kind of role of being in the shadows. Hey, you really don't hear much from him and all these kinds of things. And hey, if Gotti says, hey, I'm coming out with a mixtape, you better believe people are going to check for it. So that was a lot. But the whole thing I'm trying to say is that there's a whole, what's missing and what he's talking about is all of these elements that we're bringing up here. So it's not just one said thing. He wants to blame the pandemic, and I will give him that from the artist perspective of performing at shows and noticing that the vibe ain't there no more. But when it comes to everything else, nah, man, I do agree that most of it is the quality of the music. You can sit there and you can listen to it, even from some artists that you jive with. You can like, man, you used to put more effort into this. This feels a lot of throwaway-ish, and then you'll sift through and find, oh, there you go. Now that's what you used to do. Why ain't do this on the other ones? And it's just like, he was in the mood that day, but he knows he's got a job to fulfill of streaming. And so they're just going to give you the streams. So it's a bad little rut that we're in. When and where will we have that as artists to have that level of mystique again? I don't know, bro. But the ones that do have it, it's still there. It's the form. That's the formula. And so whoever does that formula will win, and they will get, on and all this other stuff. But yeah, I would say that's a major component, is that the whole rollout, the whole professionalism of everything is also lacking, which also means there's a lack of enthusiasm. So it can be it can be an artist that you already mess with, but you go, man, I'm just don't feel it. And that's the feeling that he says is missing, I would say.
I hear what he's saying. That's why I don't want to totally dismiss what he's saying. I just can't leap so far as to be like, the pandemic ain't bringing people out, because, okay, what are we talking about here? Taylor Swift.
All right.
Look at what Taylor Swift is doing. People, there's a genuine zest and hunger to be out supporting this music and going to these shows. People just want to feel like they are getting a commensurate return for the emotional and financial investment that they are putting into the craft. Agreed. And I think right now, this particular genre, more than any other genre, is failing on that front. I just think it's the quality of the music. It's interesting you bring up the gift and the curse when it comes to, you brought up gift and the curse when it comes to the studios. Like, there's a gift and curse when individual empowerment is a good and bad thing. Just like in the NBA, player empowerment is a gift and a curse. Because on the one hand, you do want to empower labor with the means to be able to get as much back for what they put in as possible. But the downside is some of them can act in poor faith and take things a little too far. People like James Harden and Ben Simmons. And the damage that people like Ben Simmons and James Harden, in my opinion, do to the NBA far exceeds the good that player empowerment does when it comes to people like LeBron and Steph Curry. Like, people are going to key in on the negative way more than they're going to key in on the positive. So for all of the good things that Chris Paul and LeBron, Dwayne Wade, and Curry meant for player empowerment, it pales in comparison to how much people are going to criticize the NBA when they're looking at the moves coming out of people like James Harden and Ben Simmons. So when it comes to the music, the artist empowerment movement, if you will, has been good in certain respects because artists can now bypass the major label machine, put music out through their SoundClouds or their social media channels, so on and so forth. There's more power in that. The downside, however, is when you do not have the resources and infrastructure, in many cases, of those labels, you're putting out inferior quality oftentimes. Now there's a delicate balance that can be struck with that. I'm pretty sure. I don't have a ton of intimate knowledge with the music industry per se, other than what I have observed. But I think that there is a genuine overall lack of quality. And I think it speaks to the fact that the majority of the people who are practicing the music are partaking in that lack of quality. Because ain't nobody sitting at home when Drake comes to their city. Everybody's going to Drake shows. When J. Cole was on tour, when he released that Forest Hill Drive album, everybody was going to that show. Everybody was going to those shows. You know, when Kendrick is on tour with his TDE people and all of that, everybody's going to those shows. So there is a quality aspect inherent in the perception of those guys juxtaposed to what Gotti is describing that is at the crux of why it's become semi-boring. Because if everything sounds the same, it is boring. And most of it now is kind of rinse and repeat, formulaic, 1.5, 2 to 3 minutes, not even 3 minutes, 2.5 minutes, in and out, song over, on to the next thing. People are consuming this stuff so fast, we don't even have enough time to sit down and appreciate the music for what it is, because it's over in an instant and it's on to the next microwavable piece of garbage that people can listen to. And who wants to go and who there? You can't string enough material together to put on a whole night's worth of a show to get people motivated to come out when that's what's going on. So, you know, I hear what he's saying, and ironically, he is somebody who, you know, and I've listened to a couple of his albums. I'm not a fan. I'm not going to sit up here and make it seem like I'm a fan, but I've listened to a couple of his albums, and the ironic thing about him is, even though he's a street dude that makes his music in the mold of the old school. So I think that there's a part of him that in his heart of hearts, he's probably saying, we need to get back to that and guys need to make better music. Now, he won't say that publicly because hip hop, you got to placate to the base and you got to coddle people so you don't hurt nobody's feelings. But I think that that's what the truth is. Overall, these people are just making this bad music. And I didn't even think about that female part. You're absolutely right about that. So long as, you know, these summer times are ruled by, you know, vagina music and pound towns and girls just players too, and the rest of these songs, that song with Lotto and Cardi B, can't even think of the name of it, but yeah, that's kind of what's controlling the dial right now when it comes to this music. And it's a far cry from, you know, summer 2006 when everybody was playing Port of Miami, or summer 2005 when everybody was playing TM 101. Right. You know, so on and so forth. Even going way back, you know, summer 2004, everybody was playing the Black Album. Or, you know, just, you know, That's kind of what it should be. And it ain't like that. And quality is down, everything's down, artist empowerment is up. I think the market is being flooded with, just like what Coyle Ray pointed out, saturated, in many cases, bad music. And I think that it's reflected in people's zest to pay attention to it.
Well, I mean, yeah. And the artist empowerment angle is a big aspect of it. And due to their lack of knowledge, due to their lack of engineering skills, due to their, lack of being around certain things, new types of programs that basically makes the beat for you. So there's no more creativity in that. You get this drum kit, you install this, you install that, you got a whole new beat, but none of that was you. Everything's synthesized, everything's this. So it's not really much art going on. Everybody's putting out products. Everybody's trying to get on. Everybody's trying to make a hit. Nobody's really trying to make art. So the cool thing about artists back in the day was, well, the good ones were making art. And so they didn't just look at it as music. They looked at it as the beat as a canvas. They were going to make this into a vibe and ambiance. But the vibe and the ambiance that I get from most of these songs is party and get drunk or do drugs and have salacious sex. So that's the only vibe that I'm catching from that, which is like, all right. But at the same time, it's like, where is the song that brings an emotion out of me, that makes me go, damn, I need to either change my life or move on from this or whatever. And like I said, if there are songs out there like that from certain artists, then it's few and far in between. It's not like very consistent. Now, granted, now we've been talking about hip hop and on this channel quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll look at the comments and things of that nature. I'm not ignoring the fact that there are actual artists out there that do actually fit the bill and they actually are making art. I'm not debating that. The thing is that what's the ratio? What are we looking at here? Is it
what is the industry prioritizing the most?
Right. And so it's 1 to 100 ratio. What are we doing right now? So it's not very many artists out there that actually are trying to deliver a quality product. So as Yo Gotti goes, you can always tell that he tries to do whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And so the hits that he did have in the teens, the 20 teens, because he had a little run there for a few years, and I would only argue, and I'm gonna go there, I'm gonna say it, at least for me. And the reason why he had that run was because, well, everybody else was gone, and he's the only person that still had fundamentals. So then when he put out a song that had fundamentals with it, it hit certain areas and people that go, man, I ain't hear shit like that thump like this in a long time. So if you will, if he's doing the same thing, where he's still going to give you that same formula that, hey man, I work on my craft. Hey, I shoot jumpers, dude. Yeah. And so if he comes out with that and it hits, well, the reason why it hit is because, like you said, he's old school. So that means he's going to bring certain fundamentals to the game. Hey man, you fade out a thing like this. Hey, we're going to put a bridge here. Kids are like, right. Bridge? Oh yeah, we're gonna put some ad libs right here, right? But we're gonna put some over here. And I was like, whoa. So you're not just gonna do one take? You're not gonna one take the ad libs? So these guys one taking ad libs, they looping shit, songs only a minute and whatever. So yeah, that's no fundamentals. That's street ball. So when everybody's playing street ball, or as you mentioned, mixtape music, which I hear what you're saying, because mixtape music is a little immediate, but there is a certain energy in a mixtape that I just.
Well, I just meant by mixtape. With mixtapes, you forego some of the traditional rules when it comes to making albums. Right. I would hear a mixtape, and it wasn't uncommon for songs on mixtapes to not have hooks or to be a little shorter, but it was still done in a way that was like, it was still bumping. So I wasn't trying to take it away. I was just speaking specifically in terms of, the way that you approach making that kind of music. They've kind of migrated that aspect of it into the mainstream album space, whereas that used to be relegated to mixtapes. The only problem is the artists who were making mixtapes back then had fundamentals. So they would still have the fundamentals inherent in the mixtapes, whereas these younger artists and these newer artists who, in my opinion, aren't very good, they are lacking in the fundamentals and they are foregoing a lot of those traditional steps. So it's kind of a double-edged sword.
And another thing too is that what about the fundamentals? Somebody knocking on the door. What's the other thing about fundamentals? Damn, I forget. Shit slipped my mind. But yeah, so yeah, he's got what it takes to come out with something new right now and have all the footworks and everything necessary to make a hit and make a classic. So well, at least for the streets. So have at it, Yo Gotti. I mean, I'm here for it. I'm trying to be supportive here, but there's only so supportive I can be of a man who talks about all white bricks and selling cocaines at this age. By the way, doesn't drink or smoke. He wants to have a clear head, right? It's not as though he promotes drinking and smoking in his music, I don't think, but it's still a thing of where he's promoting a lifestyle in which he lives in, I guess. But at the same time, he knows better than to not do what people at his shows are doing. And, he can speak on it in a way where he says he doesn't want to do it, but only if your music had the same stern, stoic way that he carries himself, then I would be more of a fan of him. But he talks too much real inward stuff for me. So that only gets a certain kind of, whatever in my book. But be that as it may, I still think that he's, I guess, a good enough ambassador of the game now. What I mean by that is the young people gonna listen. So hopefully, if he inspires people to make better music nowadays. So, but yeah, I'm not really a fan of him like that. It's kind of like a whatever. I like the fact that he don't do all that crazy stuff, but I don't like the fact that he doesn't promote that, and promote a clear, stoic head instead of trapping BBL models and all this other garbage he promotes. So
I hear that. I think I hear what he's saying. I just, Polo G says that it's trash. The problem is Polo G isn't as popular enough for that to carry weight. Like if Drake, for example, if Drake or Wayne or somebody like this, Jay-Z, got onto an interview and said that, these rappers need to step their game up. A lot of this music sucks. Maybe it would carry more weight. Polo G is somebody who's still kind of niche. He has his hardcore fan base. He's not a mainstream guy. So it just doesn't carry it as far. And so, Gotti, his voice carries more weight than Polo G, but he ain't saying that. He's saying it's because of the pandemic. And anybody with half a brain can see that the music fundamentally is just not the same. And that's why it's semi-boring. It's semi-boring because the fans are responding to it in a way that makes it feel boring. And the fans are responding that way because they're responding to a lackluster approach to making music. So if the music becomes better, I promise to Yo Gotti, as well as anybody else who thinks that the game is missing something, that it will change. But as long as it stays the way that it is, marginalized and formulaic and microwavable, then ain't nobody gonna care. Like this music is starting to erode. It might still be a major genre now, but things take time, and eventually it will erode for good. And ain't no rapper doing what Taylor Swift is doing, and that's just a fact. Drake comes close, but Drake can't carry it by himself. So I think that what Gotti is saying is true, but people need to start saying what the truth is, what the real truth is, which is music just kind of sucks. So it is what it is. Just kind of trash. Sorry, fanboys, just trash. What are you gonna do?
Whoops.
Kid Rock is being called a hypocrite, man. We talked about this story on this channel not too long ago. Kid Rock put a video out where he took an AR-15 to several cases of Bud Light in light of Bud Light's partnership with a transgender influencer named Dylan Mulvaney. Now, when we gave our analysis on this, we weren't necessarily siding with, Kid Rock per se. We were siding with Kid Rock needing to not be canceled because he was giving his opinion, albeit in an abrasive fashion. However, it doesn't necessarily make you look all that authentic if you're going to shoot up cases of Bud Light, but then get spotted drinking Bud Light in a public space. So that's what we're going to talk about next, because these famous people are not smart. They're not the smartest tool. They're not the sharpest tool in the shed, man.
Nope.
They're not the sharpest tool in the shed. So here we go. This article from Huffington Post says Kid Rock caught on camera drinking Bud Light despite so-called boycott. Kid Rock just put himself in the middle of a brouhaha after he was photographed drinking a Bud Light at a Nashville bar. The musician was seen drinking the beverage Thursday while attending a show by country singer Colt Ford. Many found Rock's choice of drink a little hypocritical since he famously shot up a case of the beverage back in April to protest the beer company sending a single promotional can to trans TikTok influencer Dylan Mulvaney. Video obtained by TMZ shows the rocker calmly holding the blue beer can while chatting with friends. It's a far cry from months ago when Rock and others were ginned up enough to boycott the brand at the thought that a trans person might also drink their beer of choice. The boycott was successful enough to cause Anheuser-Busch to lay off hundreds of workers after a months-long sales decline for Bud Light, according to the Associated Press. Bud Light also faced backlash from Mulvaney supporters and LGBTQ plus rights groups who felt the beer brand didn't do enough to support in the aftermath of the controversy. Mulvaney later shared that she felt abandoned by Bud Light and faced more bullying and transphobia than I could have ever imagined. Yeah, right. You can watch Rock drink Bud Light in the video below. That's a TMZ video. Not going to play that because once the YouTube audio picks up that sound that TMZ videos make, your video gets flagged for copyright. I ain't got time for that. Considering that Rock previously declared fuck Bud Light and fuck Anheuser-Busch before shooting up cases of beer, many people might consider his beverage selection on Thursday as hypocritical. And they'd be right, but it doesn't end there since Bud Light is still sold at Kid Rock's big-ass honky-tonk and rock and roll steakhouse in Nashville. And, all relevant links will, of course, be in the description of this video. You can check these out for yourself. This is people on Twitter going in on Kid Rock for drinking Bud Light at this bar. So there you go. Looks like another instance of celebrities being full of shit. But what say you about Kid Rock being spotted? Not even that he was trying to hide it either. It's like, dude, what are you doing? But there he is drinking Bud Light after he went through all of that rigmarole.
Disgraceful. Absolutely disgraceful. He had one job to do, and that was to not drink one of the worst beverages known to man. Not only did he go back on his word, he was caught 4K at a very public event, hanging over a balcony, just chopping it up, with his other cohorts who were also drinking Bud Lights. It's not that I have a problem with Bud Light drinkers. I used to drink Bud Light back in my college days, back when I didn't have a palate. This guy here apparently loved it so much that he bought cases of it when he used to drink it. So I guess he's a little bit hooked on this garbage. To each their own, right? But hooked enough on this trash to go and drink it after you made such a bold statement. I'm pretty sure there were a lot of people that were on the fence with Kid Rock, like indifferent, like myself, and was like, hey, Kid Rock, he's one of us. How about it? Then, and so, yeah, he was being championed by a lot of people, So you already had his hardcore fans, and then you had people like me. I don't want to say he let me down because, like we said, these celebrities, well, they're full of excrement. So I don't really care. If they do something hypocritical. But the whole thing, the reason why I'm disgusted by this is that, well, it was what, 2 months ago, a month, 3 months ago. Like, this wasn't long at all. I can see if this was like 2 years, 3 years, and hey, you've been scratching for a Bud Light, hey, you'll have one. But nah, man, it's been a few months. I'm sure he's been drinking it the whole time. So, was it a shtick? Was it to get people on your side? Was it for you to get, all American people to join you? What was this? Was it a publicity stunt? Because that's what it seems like now. So, yeah, this is disgusting. And what a setback. Not really, because I don't really care what the leftist people have to say. Oh, this is your champion, Kid Rock. Well, he's shipping it to you. So you transphobes need to. Nah, I don't care, man. I don't care. But I don't want them getting any W's, even if it's a small one like this, because now they can beat on their chest. So, yeah, that's the part about it that I don't like, man. We gave them a mini W. So how do you feel about this, man? I think it's absolutely disgusting. The drink and his behavior. How do you feel, bro?
Yeah, it's a joke. He just undermined everything that he supposedly stood up for, as you put it, not all that long ago. This was like 4 months ago. This was back in April when he was shooting up them cases with the gun. Now, my premise with this whole thing remains, because back then, what I was questioning was Bud Light's motivation behind the campaign. And, that VP lady, she was on news shows doing interviews talking about how she was trying, that the goal behind the campaign is to appeal to a wider audience. And what you and I were saying was, why does appealing to a wider audience automatically mean trans? There was something that seemed agenda-esque about that. That's what we were questioning. And so from that standpoint, I understood the sentiment behind what Kid Rock was doing, because why do that when your brand this entire time has been Middle America, Wrangler jeans, Brett Favre guy? And so if you want to appeal, which is the majority of the population still statistically, you already got that in the bag. You want to appeal to a wider, you want to appeal to the most people possible. Why does that mean you go trans? Why not go minority groups racially or ethnically?
And she said younger people.
Yes.
Not right. She said younger people.
Right. So it's like, why does appealing to younger people mean trans? You need to peel some of that back and try to understand what that actually means. Be that as it may, he's undermined everything that he's done. And it takes me back to the opinion that I had last week about Lizzo. Stop listening to these people because they are full of shit. Less than 10% of them live by what they preach. Lizzo can be front and center as the queen of body positivity, but when cameras aren't rolling or when nobody's live streaming or on Instagram live or TikToking, she's criticizing her dancers for gaining too much weight. Okay? And that's what they are alleging she was doing as part of their lawsuit against her. And if that is true, then she is a flaming hypocrite, because you cannot be the champion for body positivity, but then want to chastise people who you employ for gaining weight. That's ridiculous. But if you actually latch on to these people and you hitch, you sort of ride their coattails because you need some celebrity to be your inspiration, this is what's going to happen to you. You're going to end up getting severely disappointed. And it looks like the same thing can be said about this guy who looked like the guy who was speaking up for the people who want to retain some semblance of the way things used to be, or at least traditionalists as a whole, but then goes around drinking this beer. And the way that he was carelessly filmed drinking it leads me to believe he didn't even care.
No, he doesn't.
Like, it's like the thought didn't even cross his mind that it might not be good for his image if he spotted drinking this beer. The thought, it's like it didn't even cross his mind. He didn't even think about it. He was just out there willy-nilly drinking the shit. So at that point, when you're doing that so carelessly, what merit is your message? And therefore, what merit should anyone else afford you? This is why the idea that you listen to these people is completely ridiculous. And I don't care who it is. You got to take what these people do and say with a grain of salt. They're selling to you in an effort to try to control you. Don't let them sell it to you. Don't believe them. Just take it all with a grain of salt. This guy's full of shit. And, because we saw him drinking the beer. So right away, there's no lawsuit that needs to get cleared up. We don't need to have no civil case. Nothing needs to be settled. We see him drinking the beer. He's full of shit. Point blank, period. When it comes to Lizzo, we'll see what happens with the allegations. But at least for now, it appears as though there is a possibility she's full of shit. Most of these people are full of shit. Stop worshiping these celebrities. Stop listening to them. Just don't pay attention. Okay? Because the 1 minute you're going to be like, oh, I got me a champion. Next thing you know, they're going to do something. And now you're sitting there feeling like you were let down, disappointed. And you have no one to blame but yourself, because these people are walking avatars. They're not real people. They're billboards. They're like NASCAR drivers. Like NASCAR drivers got the patches on their suits with all of the different logos and shit like that. That's what these celebrities are. They're like a NASCAR driver. This brand is here. This endorsement's here. This product is here. This slogan is here. This ideal is here. They're selling it to you. But, just like a used car salesman or somebody who works on a regular lot, they're going to sell you a car and tell you that it's not a lemon. And then you get behind the wheel after you sign on a dotted line and they can't be liable for anything. And you drive it off the lot and the car won't crank. You need to replace the alternator. You need to get the engine service. The car's a damn lemon. You can't get mad at the slick oil guy. He sold you a lemon and you bought it hook, line, and sinker. So that's kind of how I feel about this. I feel what you're saying, though, because the hyper liberal, progressive, social anarchists are going to eat this up. They're going to eat this up.
Yeah.
And they don't deserve it.
No, they don't.
They don't deserve it. They are doing more harm than good when it comes to this social discourse. They are killing us all. They don't deserve the win. And this dumbass just gave them a win.
Gave them a big ass W on their little, and again, it's not like I was running around. Oh yeah, because Kid Rock is, I'm not going to say that in an argument, but they can bring that up and go, see, y'all people don't even believe in y'all. And it's like, God damn it. But the reason why I brought it up, like people on the fence like myself and his regular fans, is that what side are people going to go? I know what side I just went on. To hell with this guy. Because now I'm boycotting him. So I'm pretty sure he's got some fans that's, that was like, oh yeah, I'm riding with Kid Rock. And then see him do this sucker. This is sucker, bro.
Yeah, it really is.
This is some sucker ass shit. Sorry, I had to go there with the phrase. But this is a sucker move. I don't care, bro. If for free or for pay, boy, you look like an idiot. Like doubling back on this. Like, how do you double back on this? And this is an easy one. Just don't drink Bud Light. What? What? I can't believe it. That's somebody, that's literally somebody's like, oh, you can't go into a Klans meeting. Somebody tell me that. Oh, I gotta boycott. What I gotta do? Just not go to a Klans meeting? And they go, yeah. But I failed because I went to it. Nah, I ain't gonna say that. Nah, I wouldn't say that. But still, nevertheless, man, that's like them saying that to me, and I get caught at a Klans. It's like, why are you there? Like, just sipping that drink is the sip of oppression, bro. And you just sitting there, with a smile on your face. So I don't care for that, man. You just look like a sucker, bro. And the little bit of backbone that I thought you had from when you filmed that video, because again, I'm not around here checking for you, but that little bit of backbone that you showed me there, you just showed me that it was, like you said, false, and showed me that you don't have none. You were better off not recording that at all, venting around your friends, and then sneaking Bud Light 1 to 2 months later. Then to sit there and put something on social, shooting it up like that shit was not gonna go viral. So, hey man, he's reaping what he sowed on this one. Apparently, he was always a sucker. So this was just some sucker shit that he got caught doing. So I don't care, man. This is lame, dog.
Yeah,
super
it
lame.
is. It is. It's loser. It's loser shit. It's loser behavior. It is. It's the rapper who's like, I'm in the street shooting and I'm in the kitchen whipping, and then you find out that they are,
correction officer.
A correctional officer. Yeah, that's why it's weirdo. It's weirdo shit. And stop. Just all I can say is just stop listening to these people. Just stop listening to these people. They aren't real. I look at most of these people and I look at them as, you're not even a real human. I feel like I'm looking at some sort of hologram projection, and the real person is like wearing some kind of VR headset or some shit. But what I'm seeing before me, you're not even a real person. You're not even a real person. And the few amongst these famous people who do have a soul, you don't hear them much because they're real people. And so they're not having their entire life documented on the internet, or allowing themselves to become a walking billboard, standing for this and standing for that and standing for this, even though they know in their heart of hearts they ain't about that life in any way. That's the minority of that group. The majority of them do stuff like this, and it's just loser behavior. And so you have to separate art from artists, right? So I'm never going to be the person who gets all high and mighty and says, oh, I'm not going to be someone who says Kid Rock's a hypocrite, don't listen to his music. I'm not that guy, because I've always been the person who separated art from artists. You might be a scumbag or a liar or a fraud in your personal life, but when it comes to your craft, unless it's such a flagrant form of hypocrisy that I just simply can't reconcile, I've always been someone who's been able to be like, okay, I'll still listen to your music and take it for what it is, but I'm not going to listen to your opinion on anything because you're full of hot garbage. So I'm not going to be like, don't listen to his music, but whenever the guy opens his mouth and it ain't on a song, just ignore this shit. And that goes for him as well as anybody else, because look, now he's created a mess, and he has set centrist traditional people such as myself 2 or 3 years back, because he decided to be this careless and do this. Like, at least drinking in the house. You're in a public place where you just, like, that's what I'm saying. It's just the way that it's like the thought never crossed his mind that maybe it's not a good idea for me to drink this in this moment. The thought didn't even cross his mind. And that to me is the most egregious part about this whole situation. So, these people get on my nerves, man. They really do. And they don't get on my nerves because they are celebrities or famous. They get on my nerves because people follow them. And that's the tragedy in all of this, is the fact that people follow them. And people need to learn how to follow themselves. So, this goes for Kid Rock, Lizzo, Anybody else who you think is a champion for this? Y'all want to follow Amber Rose because you want to have slutness be socially acceptable. And instead of just admitting that you want slutness to be socially acceptable, you need a mouthpiece to speak on behalf of you. So you latch on to an individual like her, who is perhaps the worst person to pay attention to, see her personal life choices. It is what it is, man. I just say don't listen to these people. That's the central message behind this. Most of them are full of shit, period.
And I'll just say that I think in the nutshell, what I was trying to get at is I think he's lost more fans out of all this than he got. And he won a lot of people over with that foolishness, including his own. And I'm sure he's going to lose quite a bit of people, of his real fans. And, people that looked at him like us. There's some rappers that I look at as solid dudes. And yeah, I don't, whatever, but it's still like, he's a solid dude. And so for that person to go against their thing, it's kind of, you still don't, they are human. But at the same time, when you rest your hat on, but you know what I'm saying? This dude's solid. And so Kid Rock came out as, hey, I'm a solid dude. I'm up and down. I'm on my square like that. And I'm pretty sure his fans is like real people. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Whatever class of people they are that decide to listen to him, they on some, it's the Yo Gotti version of fans that listen to him in that world. So they want real stuff. They don't want it. They don't want no cookie cutter. They don't want nothing. We want some real talk. And so for you to come out, that's what I said, it's so easy. So, and for you to come out and just shit all over yourself like this.
Yes.
And as you said, being so oblivious, and I'm thinking he's so oblivious because he hasn't stopped. This is so casual. He's like, oh shit, I forgot I wasn't supposed to be drinking this. He does drink it in the privacy of his own home. He forgot where the hell he was at. So I think that's why he was so casual with this. But be that as it may, I'm not going to tell Kid Rock fans to stop listening to Kid Rock. But I'm pretty sure there's some Kid Rock fans out there that listen to him. And then when his name come up in the playlist now, they go, they're going to skip that. And they never did it before. And he caused that to himself by being such a dork. Such a lame move.
Yeah. It's a loser move. It is. It's a loser move. And whatever collateral damage that he incurs because of this, I gotta say he deserves it. If for no other reason than pure carelessness and stupidity. Forget the hypocrisy angle. You deserve it's like the dumbass of the year award. You deserve whatever you get just for the stupidity of it all. Like, seriously, really, dumb that is. You deserve everything you get. It's just the stupid tax. He's gonna pay the stupid tax.
When you sent me that, bro, I was like, you gotta be shitting me. Out of all the things. You what? Get out of here, bro. You're done.
Yeah, he's out of there. Oh well. Yeah, keep on running that bar, Kid Rock. I don't know what else you got going on, bro, but that was just stupid. All right, Steph Curry recently joined Gilbert Arenas on Gilbert Arenas podcast to talk basketball stuff, of course. And what is making waves during this interview is Curry commenting that he believes he's the greatest or best point guard of all time. Now, granted, he didn't elicit this conversation on his own. He was prompted by Gilbert Arenas, who asked him the question, and he answered it. And we have to believe that he answered it honestly. But these sports debates are always fun. So we figured that we would talk about this on the channel. Besides, we haven't had a sports topic on the channel in a while. So why not? This is sure to get a lot of people talking because these types of conversations tend to do that. But first, we'll go ahead and provide a little context here. So this says, Steph Curry, I'm the greatest point guard ever. There's no debate. Steph Curry is the greatest point guard of all time. At least that's what the Golden State Warriors star himself believes. Curry joined Gilbert Arenas on the ex-NBA Stars Gil's Arena podcast this week to make the proclamation. putting himself ahead of Magic Johnson on the GOAT point guard list. Side note, that is one hell of a title for his podcast. That is very clever.
Oh, Gilbert Arenas?
Gil's Arena, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's me and Magic. He asked Arenas, is that the conversation? The guys then kicked around the topic for a few moments, but Curry made it clear in his eyes he's number one. Of course, he's definitely got a case. He's a 4-time NBA champion, a 2-time MVP, 9-time All-Star, and the league's greatest ever three-point shooter. Johnson, meanwhile, is a 5-time champ, a 3-time MVP, and a 12-time All-Star. But Curry told Arenas he just has to put himself on top, saying, quote, I have to answer it that way. So we'll go ahead and actually play a snippet from this so that we can, actually hear Curry say this about himself. And this has already got the internet on fire with people debating whether Stephen Curry is ahead of Magic Johnson on the greatest point guards of all time list.
With Magic. Are you the best point guard ever?
Yes. I have to, yes. It's me and Magic. That's the conversation.
Yeah. Like it just, because as we can look at stats all day, right? We can look at stats and try to judge. I wasn't around with Magic. I know, right? So
I have so much respect.
I know there's not a lot of 6'9" point guard. No one's trying. I'm thinking about the '90s growing up. There was nobody trying to be a 6'9" point guard, right? I mean, it just. But I can witness and watch every kid trying to be Curry. You know what I mean? So it's like the influence that you really have on the game from the position as a player. I look at the stats and say, okay, Magic then Curry. When I look at the kids and I watch AAU, it's like, nah.
Yeah. I mean, I obviously I have to answer it that way, but I really feel like, to your point, like Magic's resume is ridiculous. Yeah. Like, all right, so the fact that we're even having that conversation it's a place I never thought I'd be in. But the fact that, to your point of like how you grade it and the whole conversation, that's why we have the conversations, because it's fun and it's measuring errors against each other. And I love that's what basketball, that's what sports is all about. That's why people watch. That's why people get in heated debates about it. I love it. So you put me on my own team, I'm gonna rep myself for sure.
I get that. Good answer, I would say.
Yeah, I thought that was a measured way to answer that question. I don't think that there was anything particularly egregious about that. But of course, there's people who are going to have their opinions. And so, the idea that he is the greatest point guard of all time. What are your thoughts on that?
I just, listening to the whole clip in its totality, you can see why he said that. So I don't think he's the best point guard ever, but if I were him, I would say I was. So there was dudes in the league when I was hooping, like, for real. I didn't feel like I can beat them, but I feel like I can give them a run for their money. Now, the only reason why I felt that is because, it's me. And I ain't gonna lose to nobody. I don't care if he is 5 inches taller than me. This is what I'm telling myself.
Yeah.
And if you're not telling yourself this, then you're not going to reach the next level within yourself. So he made it this far in his life, and this far in his career, by being somebody that has some type of chip on his shoulder in order to put a battery in his back for him to actually go out there and be one of the greatest shooters to ever play basketball. So if you ask that man, do you think you're the best? I expect him to tell me that he's the best. With that being said, I don't agree with him. I think he's one of the better point guards to ever play the game. I would have him on a lot of my simulation teams, that's for sure. But there's something in Curry that I do think is missing that prevents him from being the greatest ever. And to me personally, I think it's an internal factor, a gamer factor that he does not have. Now he's a gamer. He knows how to be a champion clearly, but at the same time, I don't like the word killer instinct because not everybody has to have that, and everybody won't have that. But there is a thing within being a gamer that you can still be a gamer without a killer instinct. For instance, Jimmy Butler is a gamer. He's not necessarily going to rip your heart out. He has. But that Jimmy Butler is going to be out there mixing it up, and he's going to most likely show up and be a calming force on the team, a good leader. And so what Steph Curry does is he has a good calming force of, hey, Steph's out there, we've got a shot. And he's good at that. But when it comes to actually, taking over games and stuff like that, that's not really his forte. That's not his cup of tea. He has done it, but he's not Steph Curry can be stopped. So I've got at least a couple people ahead of him as far as actually pure point guards. But as far as modern, how the game has evolved due to his level of shooting, you can't deny that. So he's definitely within my top 5 of point guards ever in mines, but not number 1. So how about you, sir? How do you feel about this? Do you feel like Steph Curry was buying a little bit too much of his own stock here? Or do you think I don't know. How do you feel about this?
Yeah, I respect him answering the question the way that he did. I wouldn't expect him to answer it in any other way, but I don't believe that he is either. I disagree. I do think that it's still Magic Johnson, but part of that is because it's by default. During Magic's era, all the way through I don't know, the end of Kobe's era, I guess, or right up until when Kobe retired, stopped playing. I would say that the game of basketball was played with defined positions. Point guard orchestrated the offense but could shoot. Shooting guard scored points but wasn't responsible for getting people in spots to be effective and orchestrating offenses. And small forwards was sort of the small forward was always like the shooting guard light, or maybe a lot of times the small forward did what the shooting guard did. It depended on which player was better. If you had a player on your team who was a small forward and the small forward was better than the shooting guard, then the small forward assumed those scoring responsibilities that would traditionally be allocated to the shooting guard. And the shooting guard would sort of be the supporting role. Power forward was an enforcer, played defense, got rebounds. Center was the anchor, guarded the paint, scored in the paint, tried to block shots, and all of that good stuff. But basketball is not the same anymore. It's completely positionless. So in my mind, when I think about point guards, I think about the people who orchestrate offenses. To me, Curry is an offense unto himself because of how the defense responds to what he can do. But I don't necessarily think of him as somebody who gets people in spots and sets guys up. And the Warriors don't even play offense that way anyway. They kind of do freewheeling, constant pick and roll off ball, people running all over the place, open catch and shooting, cutting lanes to the basket. But there's multiple people on the court at the same time who can do those things. It's not Curry who's solely relied upon to make those kind of plays. So I can't necessarily say that I look at him as a point guard per se, even though officially that's his position, because the NBA still lists players based on position. And so by position, he's a point guard. But who's a point guard between the two of them more than the other? Magic Johnson, who set the whole thing up night in and night out. Furthermore, Magic was a matchup nightmare because he was 6'9" and could dribble pass. And Shooting was probably the thing that he did the worst of those three things, but he was competent enough. You're not just leaving him wide open. He ain't Draymond. Whereas like leave Draymond open, we gonna take that chance. Magic would make shots if he was open. Magic could play multiple positions. Magic just was LeBron before LeBron. He was a Swiss Army knife. He could just do so many things well. But his primary responsibility was orchestrating offense. And so I look at that and I say, I'm still going to give the nod to Magic over Steph, not because Steph can't be considered the greatest point guard ever, but because I don't think about basketball anymore in terms of positions. To me, basketball is completely positionless. Like people call LeBron the greatest point guard of all time because he spent the vast majority of his career with the ball in his hands, orchestrating offense and dribbling up and down the court and setting people up. But he's 6'9", 250, and he's an average to mediocre three-point shooter and an average to mediocre free throw shooter. By the letter of the law, he isn't a point guard, but he is because of the way that he plays. So I guess my point with all of this is because basketball is largely positionless, I don't care what. Throw 5 people on a court right now, and as long as all of them can shoot and give effort on defense, it doesn't matter whether you got a center, a power forward. Nobody cares. It doesn't matter whether you have a center or a power forward or a small forward or a shooting guard or a point guard. It doesn't matter. No one prepares for basketball in that way anymore. You don't need a center. You don't need a power. You don't need any of that crap. I hear some people sometimes, usually older folks, talking about this team needs a center who can do this. No, they don't. You just need a tall person
that gets rebounds.
Yeah, you just need a tall person who, if he catches the ball 16 feet or out, can be a threat. But otherwise, if he's in the paint, he can deter a floater here and there, guard the rim, guard the paint sometimes. But what you need more than anything else is 5 guys on the court at any given time who are not offensive liabilities. You don't need centers. You don't need power forwards. You don't need small. You don't need any of that. You need 5 people who can shoot and give effort on defense. Basketball has really become that. And so because it's positionless, I don't think of Curry as a point guard. I think of him as just a guard, a guy who can dribble, pass, and shoot. And he's very good and he's extremely effective. In my opinion, he's one of the 10 greatest players ever already. Maybe he's one of the 5 greatest if you want to go that far. I wouldn't argue with you because he is the greatest shooter of all time. And his impact on the game has been second to none, in my opinion. Point guard, though, I'm going to give the nod to Magic.
Yeah, I agree with that because he's not really a pure point guard. In the traditional form, as you mentioned, where positions actually mattered, so I agree with that. But if I had to throw him in a bucket, of he's a point guard, so put him on the list, it's like, I'm not putting him number 1, 2, or 3 due to the fact that he doesn't do point guard things.
Right.
So now he can score his ass off, but that's not what we're asking him to do. And he's an awesome teammate. And as you say, he's kind of an offense onto himself, but part of his offense is running around the court. So part of him running around is him getting rid of the ball. And so he can run around. Mm-hmm. And point guards are traditionally known as setting up the person who's running around. So it's kind of like, so you would be taking him out of his wheelhouse, out of his element, if you relegated him to, nah, bro, facilitate, but then just hit open shots. And so, which I think he can do, but it's not his ultimate.
It's not what he does. It's not what he does best.
No. Yeah. And so, but I can name at least 5 people better than that, that can do that way better than him. And some of those guys probably weren't even Hall of Famers. So the point I'm trying to make is that, yeah, I agree with you that he doesn't really fit the mold of point guard, but due to his elite shooting and scoring and everything else, it just catapults him way up a lot of lists. Literally, his shooting does that. So because of that, it's like, okay, so how much stock do you give shooting? Because we're already giving you a whole bunch of credit for this. You're lapping a lot of people just because you shoot so well. But are we going to give you the crown because you shoot so well? Because there's more to basketball than scoring. So yeah, I think it's fair, at least in my world, give him top 5 and as a point guard. As far as basketball players of all time, he's in my top 20. He's in there, top 15. Hey, people will be surprised with LeBron at my list. Nah, LeBron's in there. You know he's a weirdo. But nah, so Steph, man, he gets a lot of credit in my book. I feel like he's one of the better teammates to ever play the game. Now that I will give him, because of his selflessness, because he knows how to score so well, but he knows how to do it so well that he doesn't take away from yours. That's a skill all in itself. So there's a lot of credit that I give him as a basketball player in its totality. But point guard, nah, I have a strict scale on that, man. I got guys like Rod Strickland real high on my list, So, it's going to be hard to impress me when it comes to pure point guard stuff. But if you throw him in a shooting guard bucket, whoa, he's up there. So I still got Iverson better than him though if you're doing that. So who would you want real quick? So this probably be an easy list for you, but I'm gonna give you some names, and then you tell me if you would rather have whatever in their primes, of course.
Right, yeah.
All right, so we'll do point guards. So you already said Magic. So how about Isaiah Thomas?
And I need them to do point guard stuff. That's the question.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll probably go Isaiah. Yeah.
John Stockton.
I'll go Steph.
Ooh, controversy.
Yeah, I'll go Steph. I low key think Stockton was overrated.
Ooh.
I do. Yeah, I think you can't mention Stockton without Malone and vice versa.
Oh, that's a conversation.
That damn annoying ass pick and roll that they ran all game long. That they used to kill people with that damn thing. I hated them for that. So
I did too.
Maybe some of that is my anti-Utah Jazz bias kicking in because I hated that. I hated them so much. I really did.
I did too. My love for Stockton grew after he retired. But go on. What'd you say?
No, yeah, I was just gonna say part of it might be that, but I think because I don't know what Stockton is as a point guard outside of that whole pick and roll with Malone thing, because it was so much of his production. It was so much of it that I don't know. I might go Steph still.
That's true. He was very efficient. That is an efficient fool. Like if you go look at his stats, it's dumb.
Yeah,
it's dumb, bro. It's 50, 40, 90 across the board. 2 steals, 12, 13 assists. That was a monster, at least statistically. But I don't know. That's a tough one for me, man. I might do start. All right, so one more point guard. Let me see. Chauncey Billups.
I go Steph over Chauncey.
All right. Oh, Marbury. No, now we're just going down to Marbury. All right. So shooting guards. Kobe Bean, right? Oh, that's. Hey, I don't know, bro.
No, I know. I'm just that's not for me. That's not even a question. But there are others who might say Steph. I think that they'd be insane.
Trolling.
Yeah, that would be insane.
Okay, yeah, but Allen Iverson, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, I'm gonna go Steph over Iverson.
Reggie Miller.
Steph.
Who's another shooting guard?
If Reggie could do more off the dribble, maybe I'd go Reggie. But Reggie was just almost strictly catch and shoot, whereas Steph is like off the dribble, catch and shoot doesn't matter.
That's fair.
So that's why I would go Steph.
Even though Reggie Miller would literally feast in today's game, I still agree with you. Curry's ball handling and facilitation abilities, it trumps that. Yeah. So I'm gonna get one. I had one more on my tongue. Tracy McGrady.
I knew that's who you was gonna say. Yeah. I knew it. I might go T-Mac. I might go T-Mac there because T-Mac was a unicorn. T-Mac could do everything well, and he was 6'9". So I just kind of feel like I would go for the matchup problem because I've seen as much respect that I have for Steph. I've seen him get bottled up, particularly in the playoffs.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Particularly in the finals.
Yeah.
Like when LeBron was like, okay, I'm going to shut this shit down, Curry was ineffective.
Right.
And it's not because Curry's like LeBron's 6'9". So Curry's just not going to be scoring on LeBron like that. So like, Curry's what, 6'3". So I've seen Curry get bottled up in playoff games. And McGrady's not getting bottled up by nobody when he in his physical prime. That wasn't happening. So I might go T-Mac.
That's crazy.
Steph has the potential to be able to explode and score. Steph could score 25 points in a quarter.
Right.
Whereas T-Mac, I don't know, had that kind of potency. Even though, again, I know that this is crazy. Like, it sounds weird that I'm saying this because T-Mac averaged 30 a game for like 3-4 years in a row. Like, didn't T-Mac lead the league in scoring like 2 years in a row or 3 years in a row or something like that? So. He was always averaging like 30 a game. But Curry can just go off for a quarter where he scored 20, 25 in a quarter. So I think that lightning in a bottle because of the three ball. So the lightning in the bottle with Curry is greater than T-Mac. But from a matchup standpoint, when you throw in the physicality aspect, talking shooting guards, I might go T-Mac because T-Mac 6'9", he could dribble, pass, and shoot. He wasn't the greatest defender in the world, but he wasn't somebody who you would just isolate. He wasn't like, put T-Mac on an island and have his guy go to work. You couldn't do that either. No. There was going to be some effort there. So I would probably go McGrady, honestly.
Interesting. And all right, last one. So, of course, Dwayne Wade. How you feel about that?
Wow. That's tough. Oh, man.
Yeah, got your ass.
Oh, dang. I love Wade.
Wade prime now. We're talking prime.
Right. Prime. I know. That's very hard. That is by far the most difficult one that you asked me.
I'm taking prime Wade, dude. That was different stuff, man.
Oh, man.
That was different.
I don't know. Yeah.
Oh, prime Curry. Crazy.
I've seen Wade win finals games by himself.
That's what I'm saying. I'm taking prime Wade.
I've seen Wade win finals games by himself.
Yep.
I still to this day contend that the Heat would have won the championship in 2005 if Wade's if Wade didn't have that rib injury, the Heat would have beat the Pistons that year. Like once Wade hurt his ribs, it was over. It was over. And then the Pistons ended up going on. I don't know. I kind of want to plead the fifth on that.
Boo.
I kind of want to plead the fifth. Prime Wade was a problem. I might go Wade.
To me, that's
Wade was a beast on defense too. Wade got people down on defense, and Wade was blocking shots. Wade was like 6'4" blocking shots in his physical prime. He just couldn't shoot all that well, and that's my only thing. But he will. The fact that I saw him win whole games by himself,
that's what I'm saying,
particularly in the finals. The Heat should not have won the championship in 2006.
No,
that should not have happened. But Wade won 4 games by himself, essentially.
We got a little help from the referees.
Yeah. with a little bit of help from the refs and Jason Williams in Game 7.
Yeah,
because all of a sudden, white chocolate Jason Williams scores like 18 points in Game 7. He hits like every shot that he took in that Game 7. No, Game 6, not Game 7.
What series was that? What year was that when Mike Miller went crazy?
That was in 2014 against the Spurs. No, that was when we beat the Spurs in 2013 with LeBron. Yeah. Because 2011, they lost to the Mavericks. That was the LeBron meltdown year. Then 2012, they beat OKC. And then 2013, they had us dead to rights. in Game 4, and then Ray Allen hits the clutchest shot ever, and then in Game 7 of that series, Mike Miller hit like 7 threes. Like he went 7 for 7. Yeah, he went like 7 for 7 on threes.
Yeah. So all right, but yeah, man, I'll take Prime Wade due to the fact he was the first person that I was watching. You know, I guess because I had vested interest, but that was the first time I'm ever watching basketball, and I'm like, it's like the fourth quarter, and he's about to shoot. I'm like, he's gonna make that, and he would just make it mid range. He'll get in that little mid range pocket and just start hitting those shots. And I'm like, yeah. And as a Heat fan for years, we never had that, bro.
No.
And then we finally had somebody doing it, and it was like, oh shit, this is what it looked like for us to have a guy. So Prime Wade, when he was blocking shots, making half court things, game winners, running up and down, dunking on people. Yeah, right, bro. If we had that for like LeBron longevity, Wade has a better career than LeBron, in my opinion. I think Prime Wade is better. Well, Prime LeBron, I don't mean to bring him in this, y'all, but Prime LeBron is an athletic juggernaut. Prime Wade was athletic plus like the dog. And you know, what's the saying that he had that dog in him? Wade had that dog in him for sure. So yeah, man, I'm taking Prime Wade over Prime Curry. That's a tough one, honestly. I agree, but I don't know, man.
The offensive explosive potential of Curry is what has me thinking about it. But my eyes can't unsee what I saw
and defense
with Prime Wade,
too,
particularly in the finals. It was, and then like the thing about Wade. And it's interesting too. This will be the last thing I'll say.
Mm-hmm.
When Wade was the craziest thing about Wade, honestly, is his actual physical peak, were the years when LeBron left. Were the years when we won in 2006, and then everybody got old, and that's when Shaq was gone, and that team was over with. The Gary Payton, Jason Williams, Antoine Walker, James Posey. And it was just Wade on the team by himself.
That was
when Wade was averaging like 31, 32 a game for like 2 years during that stretch. He was killing it individually. It's just the team wasn't good enough to contend. Right. So it kind of gets shrouded in history as a result. It's kind of similar to Kobe to me. Like, as quietly as it's kept, I believe that Kobe is the second greatest player ever. That's my opinion. After Jordan, I got Kobe number 2. But the thing with Kobe is, as quietly as it's kept because of how great that he was, when he was at his peak, the Lakers weren't good. All of those years when they were getting coached by Hamlin and Rudy Tomjanovich, and he was playing with Samaki Walker. And
shit!
and Smush Parker and Kwame Brown. That was when Kobe was averaging 35 a game, scoring 81 points, just doing shit that to this day I've never seen another NBA player. I don't care who it is, Kevin Durant, James Harden, Curry. I don't care who you want to throw in there. To this day, I have never seen another NBA player replicate basketball mastery the way Kobe did during those years. It's something I've never seen before. But he was on non-contending teams, so it kind of slights him because of that. Right. And with Wade, when he was at the peak of his powers physically, the Heat weren't competitive because it was post-Shaq, pre-LeBron and Bosh, and Wade was just out there putting up numbers, doing crazy stuff, looking like the best player in the league, but they weren't contending. But because we Heat fans, we from Miami, I was watching these games. So I'm like, this guy's out of control.
He's out of control.
Similar to Kobe during that same period of time. It's like, this guy's out of control. But everybody's like, oh, LeBron is LeBron, blah, 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 blah. My point is, I can't unsee what I saw with Wade. And I don't care whether they were winning or not. I can't unsee the stuff that he was doing as a player. So it's tough. I lean Wade to answer your question over Curry. It's just the explosive potential offensively is what has me thinking about it harder than I probably should. Because I got so much respect for Wade. It's tough. I love Wade, but that just shows you also how much reverence I have for Curry as well.
Oh yeah, no doubt. But the edge to me goes with defense. It's just that's where I get it, and because he was going to stop somebody, Curry was having the damnedest time, much like anybody would, I guess, guarding Kyrie in that finals though.
Oh yeah,
and Kyrie had him on skates the whole time.
He did,
and it was pretty obvious. So Wade, on the other hand, is a little bit more. He can do more about that.
Well, to be, let's also remember one of the things that I knock about LeBron, and this is particularly when he was in his prime physically, very rarely did LeBron ever guard the other team's best player. He didn't. When he was on Cleveland, when he was on the Heat, and then when he went back to Cleveland, usually he did not guard the other team's best player. When he was on the Heat, Wade guarded the other team's best perimeter player. LeBron always skated on that. And for me, that's one of my knocks against LeBron. So defensively, when Wade was in his prime, before he started to decline physically, he would lock stuff up defensively. His matchups did not get off like that. They didn't.
Nope.
And LeBron just kind of got allowed to just kind of sidestep it and guard an inferior player in terms of defensive assignment. But because LeBron was guarding an inferior player, he could play passing lanes and do all of that kind of stuff.
Right.
So he'd get his little steals, and everybody's like, "Oh, LeBron's playing this great defense." When really it was Wade doing all the dirty work.
Facts, bro. But memory lane. Hey man, and he was foul too. I'm like, bro, and they don't call it because he's LeBron. Yeah. Oh, the Heat are playing aggressive defense. I'm like, bro, he's fouling these people. So anyway, I can go down the rabbit hole with that, man. But yeah, man, that was good stuff there, man. But yeah, we're gonna have a John Stockton combo, or maybe Monday morning quarterbacking this, looking at stats and looking at things and going, well, if he's putting up numbers like this, he had to be elite. But was it a system? Bro, those numbers are crazy. Go look at his numbers. Look at his numbers and go, where's the debate? From there, you be like, oh, he's better than Chris Paul. He's better than this. He's better than that. But, then you have to get rational and go, wait. Whoa. What did I really see? So I said, I'll do myself a favor. I'll go watch some Stockton stuff to jog my memory to remember what I used to see. Because, of course, bro, I could not stand the Jazz. I couldn't stand him. I couldn't stand Hornacek. I couldn't stand Russell.
I hated the whole team. Yeah,
the whole team.
Greg Oyster Tag.
Oh my God. Get him out of here.
That whole team to me was disgusting. I rooted for the Bulls so hard when they was playing against each other. It's just like with Stockton, Karl Malone is the third all-time, or he scored number 3 all-time because it's LeBron 1, Kareem 2, and then Karl Malone is number 3, I think. Most points scored ever. Mm-hmm. So like with Stockton, so much of his stats, if you will, especially those assist numbers, that pick and roll thing that they had going on with Karl Malone and all of them numbers that Karl Malone was putting up, scoring all of them damn points. That's why I'm just like, I don't know. I kind of feel like that was a Jerry Sloan Utah Jazz system kind of thing. I don't want to take anything away from Stockton per se. I just think that there's a caveat that you need to throw in there with that. So yeah, definitely don't just look at the stat sheet because there's obviously a nuanced component to it. And you have to actually watch games. By the way, since you brought up stats, if you want to compare numbers between Magic and Steph, it's kind of advantage Magic.
Oh yeah,
Steph has the points advantage, but Magic has the MVP advantage, the Finals MVP advantage, the assist advantage. Magic is nasty. For people who don't remember this, y'all need to Google this guy. Okay. Magic was ridiculous. And imagine if he could shoot threes with regularity, how much of a divide it would have been. between Magic and everybody else in terms of the point guard conversation. So if you just want to put the counting numbers and the accolades and all of that and stack that up, outside of points scored, it's advantage Magic. It is.
Yes.
So, I'm still going Magic with that, but that's an interesting thought experiment that you presented. Maybe we can have another segment where we kind of get more into those kinds of things, because that is interesting.
Yeah, for sure. And last thing I'll say is that, and Gilbert was talking about, oh yeah, Steph, because I see these kids trying to play like you. That's because they see Steph playing. They didn't watch Magic. But my older brothers and stuff like that, they would talk about Magic. Magic and Isaiah. It was like, oh, it was either one of those two. And then and then whenever you watch interviews of players that have already retired and you say, hey, who inspired you? Who Magic name comes up. So Magic he did have a large impact on the game for being 6'9", handling the ball, passing the way that he did, and just being the gamer that he was. So he did have an impact at that time. But of course, nobody can really say, can deny the impact that Steph had from shooting from the logo and all this other dumb stuff he's been doing. Mm-hmm. So, you can't argue that either. But I will still say that Magic still had in his time, still had a lock hole on the game, if you will, when it came to who's the best, who everybody want to be like. I would say Magic still was up there though, for sure.
Yeah. I'm going Magic, man. Magic has the MVP advantage, Finals MVP, assists. I think he has he has to have the rebound advantage. Magic has all of that. I go Magic all day. And Magic played 12 years. He didn't even play in the grand scheme of it. If you think about how long Magic's career actually was, particularly his prime years before he retired early, if you would have played longer, come on, man. It's, but whatever. I guess I'm old, or rather we're old. I don't know.
Damn.
But, I love Steph, but when it comes to that point guard conversation, I kind of disqualify him, quite frankly, because I look at basketball largely as positionless. So I just remove him from the whole thing, period. And I just say he's a guard, and that's it. Point guard, I don't even point guard, shooting guard. I don't even get into all of that. He's just a guard. But, there you go. So that's our 2 cents. Let us know where you think we crazy in the comments.
Come on, because I know you do.
Yeah. Your LeBron takes definitely going to have somebody calling you crazy. But that'll do it for tonight's stream, man. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. My name is JV Wins. That is Dogon SS. Do your boys a solid, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. Let us know what you think about the commentary in this or any other video that you happen to be catching on this channel. Catch me on Instagram at JVWins, JVWINS. Catch Conscious Approach on Instagram at ConApproach, CONAPPROACH. And if you are watching this video on the Meta/Facebook page, go ahead and like and follow that page as well. We upload everything there. Wherever you are watching this video, go ahead and support this logical content. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. And until next time, we'll see you on the flip side.
Yes, sir. And the name is Dogon SS, not doggone. Dog on it. All right. And you can find me on Instagram. All right. At Dogon_SS and on YouTube at Dogon SS. Also Hurricane Dogon here on YouTube. God damn. And as I say on every part, guys, don't be too high. Don't be too low. Keep it calm. Keep it chill. Keep it player. And don't let anybody get you off your pivot. All right. So until the next time, guys, we'll catch y'all sipping on some Bud Light.
Yeah. Don't let anybody get you off your pivot, especially Kid Rock. Don't let Kid Rock get you off your pivot, man, because these people are full of boo-boo. But until the next time, man, we are out of there.
Yeah. Go Kings.
Go Heat, baby. Go Seminoles.
Go Dolphins.